Here we go. So for those who don't bother to read the terms and conditions of Teespring, let's make a video of narrating the terms and conditions. I will try to read, I'll try to speak in the posh accent as much as possible. I'll try to make the accent I follow while reading the terms and conditions as RP as possible, in other words. So without further ado, let us begin. Welcome to Spring. Spring's service, bracket, the Spring service, is located at spri.ng and is operated by Teespring Incorporated, with our headquarters at 2433rd Street, San Francisco, California, 94107 USA, and its subsidiaries, collectively Spring, We, Our, All, Us. The Spring service provides sellers with the ability to create and sell custom merchandise, apparel, and digital products, collectively merchandise, or products, and buyers with the ability to find and purchase high-quality, unique merchandise. All visitors to the Spring service, creators and buyers, are referred to herein as you. We offer the Spring service subject to the following terms of service, specifically including Spring's privacy policy and acceptable use policy. If you do not agree to these terms of service, you are not authorized to use the Spring service. To note, these terms of service apply to all of our products and services. If we include some additional terms for tools you can download from the service or other services, those provisions are incorporated into these terms of service. Please note that if you are located in Europe, including the United Kingdom, then the sections marked with an asterisk do not apply to your use of the Spring service. Do not apply. Please note that if you are located in Europe, including the United Kingdom, then the sections marked with an asterisk do not apply to your use of the Spring service. Please see additional terms for European users below for additional terms which apply to your use of the Spring service. A. Use of the Spring service. Information you provide. Certain features of the Spring service require registration. If you choose to register, you agree to provide and maintain accurate, current, and complete information about yourself. Registration data and personal information about you are governed by our privacy policy, member account, password, and security. You are responsible for maintaining the confidentiality of your password and account, if any, and are fully responsible for any and all activities that occur under your password or account. Please immediately notify Spring of any unauthorized use of your password or account or any other breach of security. Spring reserves the right to terminate accounts and / all listings that are inactive for 6 months or more. Multiple member accounts prohibited. Operating and maintaining multiple member accounts is prohibited. If you have a legitimate business need for a second account, you can apply for an exception to this policy by following the process outlined in Spring's Creator Resources. Misuse of member account. If you repeatedly upload excessive amount of data, engage in fraud or other illegal activity, infringe any third-party rights, fail to comply with the terms of service, or any other Spring policies, Spring may, in its sole discretion, cancel your listings, suspend your use of Spring tools and reports, restrict or terminate your account, and / or withhold and disburse any proceeds associated with that account. Social networking services. You may enable certain components of the service or log in to the service via certain third-party social networking services, such as Facebook social networking services. By logging in or directly integrating these social networking services into the Spring service, we make your online tools and experiences richer and more powerful and personalized. To take advantage of these features and capabilities, we may ask you to authenticate, register for, or log into those social networking services. As part of such integration, the social networking services will provide us with access to certain information that you have provided to such social networking services, and we will use, store, and disclose such information in accordance with our privacy policy. Please remember that Spring has no control over the way social networking services use, store, and disclose your information. Please review their policies to understand their privacy-related practices. Spring also has no control over the content made available through any social networking service. Please review their policies to understand their content-related practices. Spring does not have any liability or responsibility for the acts or omissions of any of the social networking services accessed through the Spring service. Spring enables these features merely as a convenience, and the integration or inclusion of such features does not imply an endorsement or recommendation. Promotions, any contests, sweepstakes, surveys, games, or similar promotions, collectively promotions, made available through the Spring service may be governed by specific rules that are in addition to these terms of service. By participating in any promotion, you will become subject to those rules to the extent that the terms and conditions of the promotion rules conflict with these terms of service. The terms and conditions of the promotion will control. Age requirement. If you are under 13 years of age, you are not authorized to use the service. If you are under 18 years old, you may use the Spring service only with the approval of your parent or guardian. Applicable laws. In connection with your use of the Spring service, you will comply with all applicable laws, regulations, and industry standards. Communications. You agree that we may communicate with you electronically regarding security, privacy, and administrative issues relating to your use of the Spring service. If we learn of a security system breach, we may attempt to notify you electronically by posting a notice on the Spring service or by sending an email to you. You may have a legal right to receive this notice in writing. To receive free written notice of security breach. I.E. To withdraw your consent from receiving electronic notice, please notify us at privacy@spri.ng. General practices and instructions regarding use. You will comply with any instructions provided to you by Spring in connection with your use of the Spring service. Spring may establish general practices and limits concerning use of the Spring service. Spring reserves the right to change its instructions, general practices, and limits at any time in its sole discretion, with or without notice. B. Sellers. Creation and implementation of product listings. The Spring service allows sellers to create product listings and sell custom physical and digital merchandise through those listings. Following are specific obligations concerning the initiation of any listing. To the extent any listing violates these terms of service, we may choose to terminate, delay, or modify the listing at our discretion. For additional information about the Spring service, please refer to Spring's Frequently Asked Questions portal. Your right to implement a listing. By creating a listing through the Spring service, you represent and warrant that you own or are the licensee of all trademark rights, copyrights, rights of publicity, and other intellectual property or other proprietary rights necessary to create and implement the listing rights, including any rights relating to the name, description, images, text, or URL used for the listing. You will provide Spring with evidence of your listing rights upon request. Spring does not claim any ownership rights in the content you upload to the Spring service. Please be sure you maintain copies of all of your work. Spring has no responsibility or liability for the deletion or failure to store any content or information uploaded to the Spring service. For online events promoted by you through the Spring service, Spring operates an online marketplace where Spring customers can purchase event tickets. Spring helps manage ticketing and registration on your behalf. However, Spring is not the host, creator, or organizer of such online events. You agree that you are the organizer of your online events. You are solely responsible for providing the event, including the third-party platform for hosting or streaming the event, and ensuring that the online event is delivered as described. You are also responsible for all activities related to your online events that take place off the Spring service, such as on any third-party streaming platform. Spring retains all ownership rights in any designs created by Spring designers which may not be used by you, other than in connection with your listings on the Spring service, without Spring's express written consent. For the purpose of implementing and fulfilling your rights, for the purpose of implementing and fulfilling your listing, and for the purpose of advertising the Spring service in any medium Spring chooses, you hereby grant Spring a non-exclusive, worldwide, fully paid up, transferable, sub-licensable license under your listing rights to copy, display, distribute, modify the content you upload to the Spring service, including all related images, text, content, and information. Spring, in its sole discretion, may make promotional offers with different features and different pricing to any of Spring's sellers. These promotional offers, unless made to you, will not apply to you or these terms. For example, Spring may make different digital product file types available to sellers who achieve a certain level of sales. Acceptable use. Your use of the Spring service, including the creation and implementation of product listings, is subject to these terms of service, including our acceptable use policy. Indemnity. To the extent any listing launched by you or launched via your Spring account violates or is alleged to violate our acceptable use policy or any other part of these terms of service, in addition to any other remedies, you agree that Spring has the right to withhold and redirect any funds collected relating to the listing, which funds will be disbursed based on Spring's internal policies. For example, Spring may give the funds to a charity where listing falsely states it is raising funds for that charity, or Spring may apply such funds to any judgment or settlement and / all the reimbursement of Spring's expenses resulting from a third party's claim of infringement, and to control the defense or settlement of any claim or suit resulting from any such violation or alleged violation. And you agree to fully cooperate with Spring in such activities without limiting the foregoing. You also agree to indemnify and hold Spring harmless from any and all liabilities, losses, damages, and expenses arising out of your violation or any alleged violation of our acceptable use policy or any other part of these terms of service. That's quite long. Excuse me. Quality of artwork and promotions. Each listing must meet reasonable production standards. A listing may not include a low-quality image that will not print well. All of your advertisements or promotional descriptions, including content that is uploaded to the Spring service, must be accurate and correct, and must not include any content concerning non-Spring activities, events, products, services, or promotions. Proceeds from listings. Proceeds from listing. If you create a listing for products through the Spring service, Spring will charge you a base price for each product that it makes available to you for your listing. You will be responsible for setting the price you charge consumers for each product. Once your listing is launched and products are sold, you will earn the difference between the base price and your sale price. Less returns. You may request payout through your dashboard at any time. You are solely and fully responsible for payment of any income taxes applicable to the amounts you earn through the Spring service. Prior to receiving your payout, you may be required to provide additional information to Spring as needed by Spring to comply with its reporting obligations. Partnership disputes. If you work with other people on your listing and there is a dispute between you and your partners, even though Spring services notice of the dispute, Spring is entitled to make payouts and otherwise correspond with the original registrant. Alternatively, Spring may withhold payouts until the dispute is resolved in Spring's sole discretion. charities, fundraising, you represent and warrant that any listing you create that implicitly or explicitly relates to a charity or fundraising effort is authorized by such charity or fundraising effort. And you will ensure that your listing description clearly and accurately states the percentage of proceeds that will be donated and to whom those proceeds will be donated. Spring right to lower sales goal. You will be able to set the sales goal for each listing. You agree that Spring may, in its sole discretion, begin to fulfill orders before your sales goal is met. Oh my god. So here comes the C, intellectual property complaints. Infringement claims between Spring users, waiver of claims. As a condition of using the Spring service, you agree to submit any and all infringement claims against Spring users, so-called copyright claims, pursuant to Spring's existing policies and procedures governing such claims. You further agree as a condition of using the Spring service to waive any and all claims against Spring arising from alleged infringement by you or another Spring user. In addition, you understand that Spring may release your contact information to any Spring user that satisfactorily alleges a violation of its rights under this section. Infringement claims by third parties. Spring takes any allegations of infringement seriously. If Spring receives any complaint or allegation that your listing or any resulting merchandise constitutes an unauthorized use of a third party's rights, you understand that Spring may terminate or delay your listing in its sole discretion. In addition, you understand that Spring may release your contact information to any third party that satisfactorily alleges a violation of its rights. Spring will consider complaints of possible infringement only from parties that own or have the exclusive right to exploit the applicable intellectual property. If you believe that a Spring user has infringed upon your rights, please notify Spring through our intellectual property claim page. You may also contact us by mail at the address provided at the end of these terms of service. Attention Legal Department. You must include with your notification the following information: a physical or electronic signature of a person authorized to act on behalf of the owner of the intellectual property that you allege is being infringed, the URL to the Spring listings used in connection with the sale of the allegedly infringing merchandise, identification of the copyright, trademark, or other rights that allegedly have been infringed, including proof of ownership, such as copies of subsitting trademark or copyright registrations, your full name, address, telephone numbers, and email addresses, a statement that you have a good faith belief that use of the material in the URL submitted is unauthorized by the rights owner or its licensee, and such use amounts to infringement under federal or state law, and a statement under penalty of perjury that the information in the notification is complete and accurate, and that you are authorized to act on behalf of the owner of the copyright or other right that is allegedly infringed. Repeat infringer policy. Spring has adopted a policy of terminating in appropriate circumstances and at Spring's sole discretion users who are deemed to be repeat infringers. Spring may also at its sole discretion limit access to the Spring service or terminate the memberships of any user who infringe or violate any intellectual property or other rights of others, whether or not there is any repeat infringement or violation. It's quite long. So I will save the upper half of the terms and conditions of Teespring in my next video, in my next narration video. So thank you very much for watching or listening. God bless. If God's still willing, hope to see you guys next time on YouTube. Cheers. Bye bye.